Clearly one of the most credible faces of India Inc. and someone who's been shying away from the media of late. Rahul Bajaj, it's such a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for sparing time for NDTV.
My favorite anchor, Shweta.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bajaj, what's the sense you're getting of the kind of initiatives the Modi government has taken the last 6 months? Are you happy with the movement forward in terms of the growth momentum, the reforms?
Yes, I am, and I hesitate in a way to say that because I'm born that way, and I'm known to be anti-establishment, Calling a spade is all right, but I'm also known to be, my family, grandfather, father, grandmother, all went to British jails. It's in my genes. You don't shout at somebody who's down.
Right.
It's only those who are at the top.
Right.
So I find it a bit almost embarrassing to say that in the last 5 months, unless you want to criticize for the sake of criticizing, I've not really noticed or found any negative steps this government has taken. And let's face it, this government till now, at least the impression people have, which could be good or bad,
right,
appears to be, this itself is a negative, a one-man government.
Yes.
But people like it.
Yes. It seems to be working.
Not only seems to be working, because the last 3 years was the 100-man government.
Right.
And it didn't do anything.
Right.
Neither the National Advisory Council, which came in the way, nor the cabinet, etc. Everybody knows that. And they paid a price, and they paid what a price for that. So people say, we want decision-making. Of course, we want good decision-making, but we want decision-making, and we are getting it. And except a few, I think at least we in industry, people realize that Mr. Modi also has no magic wand. If inflation has to be brought down to the desired level of the Reserve Bank of India, it will take 12 months, 18 months, 2 years.
But it's already showing a downtrend, and he's also been lucky because oil prices globally have fallen.
And now today's news item says a lot of commodity prices are going down. Which can hurt us for those commodities which we export, but otherwise it's good for us wherever we import.
Right.
So yes, and the Lady Luck also smiles on those who deserve to be smiled upon. But like Labour, he's trying to do something in the Labour policy, but you can't do something major. I mean, these words are normally never said, but basically hire and fire with support for those workers who are fired. I mean, some financial support, of course, that goes without saying. But that requires expending a huge amount of political capital, one. And second, we all know that this government does not have a majority in the upper house. And barring the money bills, all other bills need to be passed by both the houses of parliament. And it's all right to say you can pass there and you don't pass here, then you can have a joint session. But what happened to the insurance bill? The opposition knew that, so they didn't reject it, referred to the select committee, so delaying the matter. And even if you reject it, you can't have every bill passed by the joint session, because somebody will go to Supreme Court and say, is this against the basic features of the Constitution? Because if you do that, that means you are negating the existence of the upper house.
Absolutely, and that's critical as well.
So you can do it once in a while in a genuine case, but not all the time. I think it's been taking weather, and I think in this, the winter session, which starts on 24th of November, I think 45 or 47 pending bills in the Rajya Sabha
will be taken up. So
and
we
about
expect
9
some
or 10
business to be
in the
done.
Lok Sabha, and some new ones will come, like the insurance bill will be introduced again after select committee, and I think a land acquisition bill. But the Land Acquisition Act was a disaster.
Absolutely, and that's one of the clear bottlenecks to growth when we talk about.
For growth and for infrastructure, you want to buy more than 50, 100 acres of land, it will take you 4 years to do that, apart from the price. Now, they are not touching the price. But again, that's where a huge amount of political capital will have to be spent, and you won't be able to pass it in the Rajya Sabha.
So at least let's go back and say 6 months, you're saying no negative steps taken, which itself is a big positive, that at least there's been no negative steps taken. The government moving in the right direction, and even someone like you who always is anti-establishment is finding it hard to really nitpick and find any faults when we talk especially about the economic impact that this government is making. So you feel so far Modinomics is moving in the right direction. It's a government that's making the right noises, right moves when we talk about boosting growth, bringing the economy back on track.
Absolutely.
Moving forward, what needs to be done almost immediately to ensure that we keep this momentum going? Because after all, it's a government that's come on tremendous hope, tremendous expectation, and people are getting impatient. They want those growth rates back. They want the Achhe Din to come.
Yes, but we have to then define, and we have to ask those people who want the Achhe Din to come immediately or early, what do they mean by that? As I said, if you expect the inflation to come down to 3% or 4% or whatever you want, it will take time.
Right.
So I won't list that. Obviously, inflation should come down, but it will take, depending on what rate you want it to come down to, it will take anything from 1 to 3 years.
Right.
Similarly, GDP growth rate, from 5%, maybe this year it will be 5.5 plus minus. But if you want it to go up, not 8, 9, but even 7%, it will take a couple of years. So once you get those basics out of the way, then I think infrastructure development and for new investments, one is a mindset change, which I think already you can see. Even the investors are very happy and bullish and all that. So that is there. But they are concerned with labor policy, as I said earlier. They are concerned with
land acquisition.
Land acquisition. Well, the environment they are already showing. I mean, it's not nice to take names. The previous 2 ministers in charge, both were my friends, are my friends in the Raj Sabha, one a lady, one a gent.
Right.
And they won't agree with what I'm saying. I said it then and I say it now, that they only thought their job was environment, and which is important for everybody. We want our children to live in a clean environment, but they forgot about growth and development. Now, I'm saying that they are not, to be fair to them. But that's what I think it was.
Right. Do you see a perceptible change in
difference? Oh, come on, Prakash Javadekar, who, I'm not praising him, but he happens to be from my city called Pune. And the guy is already clearing things. And that, fortunately, the kind of clearances where the discretion is involved doesn't require a change in the act.
Right.
So, already, it's not that Prakash Javadekar is not involved or not concerned with environment.
Right. Apart
from his INB, he is the environment minister, at least for the time being, till the dual charge is taken away from him. And he's clearing a lot. I think we need an addition to the cabinet. Apart from my close friend Arun Jaitley, I don't know which ministry supposedly, because recently I've heard rumors which are disturbing. I think you should keep the finance and corporate affairs.
Which is what most people believe, that he has to keep
till
finance.
Now, but last 10 days they said health and this and that, he'll keep defense and not that, which would be very, very unfortunate.
Right.
But either way, but say he keeps corporate affairs and finance and leaves defense, because he's cleared a lot of orders and other things which the earlier finance minister, I won't name him, the defense minister did not do under the guise of corruption and this and that. I mean, corruption means we are getting weaker even than Pakistan. Forget China. What the hell is happening?
Right.
Where is my equipment? You can't manufacture it here, and you can't import it because everybody manufacturer, I'm sorry for the language, is corrupt.
Right.
Everybody has a middleman. So that was a disastrous situation last few years. So he's doing all that. He's cleared, I think, over 100,000 crores, 1 lakh crores worth of ordering. So that's good. But the question is, who will come in defense? And one hears all talk, the Goa Chief Minister's name and other names. But whoever it is, somebody good, because, I mean, that won't happen today necessarily with this Prime Minister, but Defense Minister is one of the top 4, is automatically a member of the CCS, etc., etc.
Right.
So it has to be the senior most, and all the senior people in the party are already ministers.
Right.
So whom do you bring, unless you bring in a Chief Minister or somebody like that?
So those are the issues that they need to clearly resolve in terms of cabinet expansion.
Another 10 people. And you will need some, how to get them into the Raj Sabha. Lok Sabha is a problem, but even Raj Sabha is not easy. You may need to get some technocrats.
Right.
Like Narasimha Rao brought in Manmohan Singh, to give an outstanding example as a finance minister. Some top people in certain... See, we need domain knowledge.
So domain knowledge is clearly something that you're pointing out to, but let's talk about real investments that are taking place. Do you think the investment cycle has been kick-started? Because, for instance, you're a veteran here at this India Economic Summit, you've been a veteran at Davos. Are people now looking at India in a way that they are willing to put in money, both foreign investors as well as domestic investors?
Yes, but I think, Shweta, you must realize that things are not so simple. It's not a question of yes and no or night and day. There are a lot of grey areas. Yes, but I can give straight away 2 qualification to that, yes. Yes, the mindset has changed, both for domestic and, as Arun Jaitley said today, that those who wanted from India to invest abroad are having a relook at India and all that. But as I said earlier, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's labor or land acquisition, it's an issue.
Right.
Now, the government is on the same wavelength as us on these issues.
Right.
But their being on the same wavelength doesn't mean the act is changed.
Right.
Doesn't mean that I can buy land like that tomorrow, 300 acres.
Right. So while they understand the issues, we still need to make those changes.
People may want to wait for that.
Right.
And the other thing is where these are not necessarily an issue, though labor can be, labor laws, is a question of GDP growth rate.
Right.
For the last 2-3 years, why is the auto industry down?
High interest rates?
Commercial vehicles, that's one.
Okay.
But
I'd
that's
like
not
to
so much for
elaborate.
industry. That is so much more for the
consumers, right. But I'd like you to elaborate on that point. A lot of people in the industry now saying high time we see a rate cut. Do you share that view?
I mean, it suits me, but I won't necessarily straight away share the view because that becomes, it's maybe of interest to my company.
Right.
For in the national interest, whether it's right or wrong, I would only say this. All my colleagues in the industry are saying a lower rate. Even finance minister is now recommending a lower rate. We all know that. I say, if I have to go by one person's wisdom on that, I'll go by Rahul Bajaj. To me, he is the right person. Now, one can always say he's a bit too much on one side and
Some people say they're disappointed that he's turned out to be an inflation hawk, and the expectation was that he would be very pro-growth, pro-industry, and the fact that growth is suffering because of those high interest rates.
Those people say that. Who knows that those people are right?
Right.
Maybe those people are all wrong. They are all selfish. And they only got short-sighted vision of where India should go. So inflation hurts the poor.
Right.
It doesn't hurt the industry so much. Okay, my sales are a little down. They didn't grow this year. That chairman and that managing director is still eating well in 5-star hotels.
Right.
So then I get slightly, cheesed off. If somebody tells me these guys are all saying this. Who are these guys?
Right.
I know most of those guys.
Right.
So I'm not impressed. I'm not saying it should not go down. I very much hope the rate goes down. At least next time it's in early December or something.
2nd December.
By 25 basis points. I mean, it will be delighted. It will be shock to everybody if it reduces by 50 basis points. That will be a bit of a shock to everybody, a pleasant shock. But I would not start shouting at him as some others will, including industry associations.
Right.
I won't name them.
If he decides against it.
If he decides against it. I'm almost sure, without knowing a thing, because I haven't talked to him at all, ever since he took over, that I'm sure he will not increase the rate.
Right.
But that's not saying much.
Right.
So let's see what happens in less than a month's time. Let's hope that he thinks it's time to spur growth. But just as we say food inflation, this inflation, high interest rates is not curbing inflation, and how does it help curb inflation? Similarly, he says, is it really hurting growth?
That's the other view.
So
that
it's a question of...
does it hurt the auto space, for instance? Do you think consumers are not buying because they're not getting lower rates?
I don't know. I don't know. Every automobile, most automobile manufacturers will say yes.
Right.
I would like to say yes, but I don't know whether my three-wheelers,
right,
my two-wheelers also, but my two-wheelers, half of them probably are bought, 40% are bought in cash. But those which are bought in, say, 100,000 rupee two-wheeler,
right,
he's paying a certain amount of rate of interest. He's not paying 8%, 9%. He's paying it on the reducing balance, something can be 18, 20, 22%. So if that comes down by 1 or 2 percentage points,
will it make a material difference?
Will the EMI change that much?
Right, right.
How much will it change? So yeah, from this to this, yes, but that's theoretical. That is impossible to happen. So it can reduce by a couple of rates. There also, if those money lenders, a lot of them are brokers and small people, or even NBFCs like one of my companies, financial company which loans against our vehicles,
right,
apart from other things, whether they'll pass it on,
right,
one doesn't know.
Right.
So other things being equal, a lower rate of interest will help.
Right, right.
But how much? I don't know.
Okay. Moving forward, what's your message really to the government in terms of things they need to take up almost immediately to make sure that we keep moving on the right path?
Briefly, keep in mind what brought you to power. Don't forget that. Good governance, minimum government was Prime Minister's mantra. Please keep that in mind. Khud na lunga, na lene dunga.
Right.
Keep that in mind. And now the stage has come that where maybe you are following it at the top level, which is very good, please don't make a mistake there. You'll lose all your credibility, Mr. Prime Minister.
Right.
But now we have to go down. That's what Anna Hazare used to talk about. I used to say start from the top.
Right.
But Anna Hazare said millions are there for a driving license, for a death certificate, for a birth certificate. He has to give 500,000 or 2,000 rupees to get a legitimate work done.
Right. Those systemic changes.
If you want an undue benefit, obviously you'll have to pay some undue fee to the guy who's doing you the benefit. But I'm not talking about that. That's wrong. You should not get undue benefit.
Right.
But if I'm asking for a legitimate work from the government, then I shouldn't have to pay that amount.
Right.
And that's where now you start gradually, not easy, but coming down heavily.
Okay. Last question before we wrap up. Any concerns, any downside risks to India's growth revival?
In a country like India with 120 crore people, I'm sure there are downsides at the moment offhand, and I can't take a time and I can't think of too many things. But I think the Prime Minister has done an excellent job till now and has concentrated a lot in foreign policy for some legitimate reasons, whether it's trips to Japan or to the United States or Nepal, etc. He's now going to go to Myanmar and I believe Fiji, and of course for G20 to Australia, and the Australian Prime Minister has been there, the Chinese President has been there. So while this will continue to some extent because we need foreign capital, etc., etc., apart from geopolitical situation, we have a problem with China, I believe a very different kind, I believe more serious, and also with other neighbor Pakistan.
Right.
But now I think he has to start spending more time, which previously in Gujarat he did all of that all the time, or most of the time. Now he spends more time on domestic issues. A person like me, I'm very happy if he's in Brisbane or if he's in Australia or in the United States in the White House. But the average man you referred to, whose aspirations are there, who's in a bit of a hurry.
Who's
now
the
inflation, etc., getting him jobs. Getting jobs is very important. For that you need growth.
Right.
So that will take time. So at least he should be seen to be, and he's seen everywhere, so you can't forget it. But doing work, even in his cabin, he may not be seen himself. His work should be seen by the common man who has brought him to power. People like me have not brought him to power. It's the common man which has brought him to power, and he must do that. There directly the common man doesn't benefit by his going for 2 times or 2 days to the White House.
Right. Mr. Bajaj, you're always very frank and candid, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Shraddha. Thank you very much.
Thank you.